My mother Eleanor stood on the stage. She was giving a speech about legacy. The gala was for our family foundation. She looked perfect. She always looked perfect. She smiled at me. It was a cold smile. And now, I have a wonderful surprise, she said. My daughter, Anna, has decided to do something truly selfless. She was speaking to me. But she was performing for the crowd. She is ceding her inheritance rights to her brother, Marcus. My internal monologue, ceding. What a lovely word. As if it were my choice. As if I were not being threatened. As if this whole party was not a public execution. Eleanor held up a legal document. It was thick. It was bound in leather. The family lawyer, Mr. Davis, stood beside her. He held a pen. Eleanor said, Anna, dear, please come up and sign. For the family? The room applauded. Hundreds of people. They thought I was generous. They thought I was selfless. They expected me to walk up. They expected me to smile and sign. I did not move. I remained perfectly calm. I smiled back at my mother. I said, thank you, Mother. What a wonderful surprise. But I have a surprise guest of my own. I nodded to the back of the room. The main doors opened. A woman stepped inside. Eleanor did not know. She did not know I found the microfiche at the library 2 months ago. She did not know I found the missing child reports. She did not know I found her. My real sister. Eleanor thought this was her final victory. She had no idea I had just set the trap. This was not her celebration. It was her execution. My name is Anna. At least, that is what they call me. I am 32. I am the perfect daughter. I live in the perfect family. My parents are Eleanor and Richard. They are cold. They are controlling. My brother is Marcus. He is the golden boy. He can do no wrong. Our family foundation is built on my grandfather's wealth. My mother's father. He was a good man. He died before I could know him. He left a will. I found it. The will was very specific. My grandfather was a traditional man. He distrusted his son-in-law. He distrusted Richard. My internal monologue. He was right to distrust him. He was a very smart man. He left his entire fortune, the foundation, the house, everything, to a trust. The trust would be controlled by his firstborn grandchild. That was me. I was born first. I was born in 1993. Marcus was born a year later. My parents hated this. They adored Marcus. They despised me. I was just a placeholder. I was just the key to the money. They controlled the trust until I turned 30. My 30th birthday passed 2 years ago. They have been trying to get me to sign away my rights ever since. They used guilt. They used threats. They said it is for the family. Anna. Marcus is the man. He should run the foundation. You do not want this responsibility. Sign the papers. I always refused. I did not know why. You just felt wrong. I felt wrong in this family. I did not look like them. Eleanor was blonde. Richard was tall. I was small. I had dark hair. I had green eyes. They had blue eyes. You get it from a distant aunt, Eleanor always said. She never said which aunt. I always felt like I was performing. I had to be quiet. I had to be polite. I had to be perfect. If I was not perfect, I was punished. Not with yelling. With silence. Cold, heavy silence. For days. So I learned to be perfect. But I was suspicious. I have been suspicious for years. It started with the photographs. My parents' house is full of photos. Marcus as a baby. Marcus taking his first steps. Marcus on his first birthday. There are no baby pictures of me. My album starts at age 2. My second birthday party. I am in a yellow dress. I look confused. I am not smiling. Where are my baby pictures? I asked when I was a teenager. We lost them, Eleanor said. A water leak in the basement. We lost everything from that year. A water leak. It sounded plausible. But she said it too quickly. Her eyes did not match her smile. Then there was the scar. A small, white scar above my right eyebrow. I asked her how I got it. You fell, she said. When you were a baby. How you fell down the stairs. Later, I asked my father. You fell off a swing, he said. At the park. Their stories never matched. I started digging. 2 months ago. I told them I was taking a design course. Instead, I went to the main library. Downtown. I went to the archives. The microfiche room. It was dark. It smelled like old paper. I searched for my birth announcement. Anna Elizabeth. Born May 15th. 1993. To Richard and Eleanor. I scrolled through the records for that week. Nothing. I searched the entire month. Nothing. I searched the state records for 1993. Nothing. There was no birth announcement for me. It was as if I did not exist. My hands were shaking. I kept searching. I searched for all births on May 15th. 1993. I found one. Rachel Marie Anderson. Born May 15th. 1993. To David and Mary Anderson. I stared at that name. Rachel. My middle name is Rachel. My internal monologue. My name is Anna Rachel. They said they named me after Eleanor's mother. Another lie. It is a family name. Eleanor always said. Whose family? I kept digging. I searched the name Rachel Anderson. I found it. 1 year later. A different newspaper. A different state. Denver, Colorado. The headline was Missing Child. Rachel Anderson. Age 2. My blood ran cold. The report said vanished from her backyard. June Trollsard. 1994. 2 years old. Green eyes. Brown hair. Scar above right eyebrow. Birthmark on left shoulder. Shaped like a crescent moon. I dropped the microfiche reader. I ran to the bathroom. I pulled down the collar of my shirt. I looked at my left shoulder. The birthmark was there. It has always been there. A perfect crescent moon. I was not Anna. I was Rachel. My parents were not my parents. They were my kidnappers. I found the sister. The report mentioned her. Carol Anderson. She was the one who was searching. She was 10 when I was taken. I found her online. She was a social worker. She specialized in finding missing children. My internal monologue. She spent her life looking for me. She dedicated her career to it. She had been searching for me for 30 years. I sent her an email. I did not tell her who I was. I said I am researching a case. The Rachel Anderson case. I think I have new information. She replied in 5 minutes. Where can we meet? We met at a coffee shop. The moment she saw me, she stopped. Her coffee cup fell from her hand. It crashed on the floor. She stared at me. She whispered, Rachel. I sat down. I told her everything. My name. My parents. The lack of photos. The scar. The birthmark. She cried. She held my hand. She pulled out her wallet. She showed me a photo. A little girl. With my face. This was you, she said. The day before you were taken. She told me the story. Our parents were David and Mary. Our father died 10 years ago. A heart attack. Our mother died 5 years ago. Cancer. She never stopped looking, Carol said. She spent every dollar she had. She died, believing you were still alive. My internal monologue, I lost them. I lost my real parents. Eleanor and Richard stole them from me. They stole my whole life. We pieced it together. Eleanor and Richard. They were in Denver in 1994. Richard's company had a branch there. They needed a child. They needed a firstborn grandchild. To unlock my grandfather's will. They could not have their own in time. Marcus was born a year later. So they took one. They took me. They forged a birth certificate. They created a new identity. They moved to Portland. They started their new life. Built on a lie. Built on my mother's money. My money. They are having a gala, I told Carol. They are going to try to make me sign away the inheritance. The inheritance they stole for me. Carol's eyes were hard. What do you want to do? She asked. I do not want to just expose them, I said. I want to destroy them. I want to take back everything. I want a public reversal. They built their perfect life on this lie. I want to burn it down. In front of everyone. We made the plan. It was simple. It was brutal. Carol would be my +1. But she would arrive late. She would arrive at the exact moment Eleanor tried to force my hand. She would be the living witness. She would be the weapon. I also called 2 police detectives. Friends of Carol's. They were waiting. They were in the crowd. Dressed as guests. So I sat there. I watched Eleanor smile. I watched her hold up the fraudulent document, and I nodded to the back of the room. I watched Carol Anderson walk in. My sister. And I watched my parents' perfect world begin to shatter. Eleanor held the document out to me. The leather binding felt heavy. Mr. Davis, the family lawyer, stood beside her. He held the pen ready. Eleanor, said Anna, "Dear, please sign. For the family." Her smile was tight. Her eyes were hard. She was performing. My internal monologue, for the family. She means for Marcus. For herself. Never for me. This is the final step in their 30-year lie. This is the price of their perfect life. The crowd watched. They expected me to sign. The perfect daughter. The selfless act. I did not take the pen. I said, "Not yet, Mother. I would like to introduce someone first." Eleanor frowned. This was not part of her script. "Introduce someone," she asked. "Who we are about to finalize the foundation's legacy. This is inappropriate." I looked toward the back of the room. The main doors swung open. Carol Anderson walked in. She looked strong. She looked determined. She walked down the center aisle. People turned to look. They whispered. Who was this woman? Why was she here? Eleanor saw her. Her face froze. The color drained away. Richard saw her. He went pale. He looked like he was about to vomit. He leaned toward Eleanor. He whispered. His voice carried in the sudden silence. He said, "What is she doing here? Get her out." My internal monologue. He recognized her. After 30 years, he knew exactly who she was. The confession? B2. He knew Carol was the last person alive who knew the truth. He knows the trap is closing. Carol reached the front of the room. She did not look at Eleanor. She did not look at Richard. She walked straight toward me. She stopped in front of the stage. She looked up at me. Her eyes filled with tears. But her voice was strong. She said, "You look just like my sister." Gasps went through the crowd. This was not normal gala conversation. Carol continued, "My sister Rachel. She went missing 30 years ago. When she was 2 years old." Eleanor found her voice. It was sharp. It was frantic. She said, "What is the meaning of this? Who let this woman in here? Security, remove this lunatic. She is disturbing the peace." Carol ignored her. She kept looking at me. I stepped forward. I took the microphone from the podium. My hand was steady. I was calm. I was in control. I said, "Mother. Father. You always told me this scar." I touched the small, white scar above my right eyebrow. Was from falling down the stairs. When I was a baby. You said the carpet was old. That was your story. You gave me that simple, neat lie. I turned to Carol. I asked Carol, "How did your sister Rachel get this scar?" Carol spoke to the room. Her voice was clear. It was precise. She said Rachel got that scar when she was 2. It was 2 weeks before she disappeared. She was trying to ride her red tricycle without training wheels. She hit a rock in the backyard and went over the handlebars. She needed 3 stitches. At Denver General Hospital, I held her stuffed elephant. My internal monologue, Denver. The tricycle. The specifics were undeniable. E3. The details they fabricated were weak. The details of the truth were surgical. I remember holding a stuffed elephant. Peanut. Carol told me about Peanut. It was not a dream. It was a memory. Eleanor hissed. This is absurd. This proves nothing. Lots of children fall. This woman is rehearsed. I continued. I looked at Eleanor. I was relentless. I said, and you told me this birthmark. He tilted my head. I pulled the strap of my gown down. I showed the edge of my left shoulder. Was just a spot. A simple freckle. You said it was a cute birthmark. Nothing more. I turned back to Carol. I asked, but Carol, what birthmark did Rachel have? Carol's voice softened. It was full of pain. She said she had a crescent moon. On her left shoulder. Our mother had the same one. It is a family mark. It is a unique genetic marker. It runs in our family. My mother, our aunt, and Rachel all had it. The room was silent. People were staring. Hundreds of pairs of eyes. They were looking at me. They were looking at Eleanor and Richard. They were putting the pieces together. Eleanor stepped forward. She grabbed Richard's arm. Her nails dug into his skin. She said, Anna, you are hysterical. You are sick. You need medication. Sign the papers now. This woman is clearly trying to scam us. She is a lunatic. She wants the money, Richard stammered. Anna, please. This is not appropriate. Sign the papers. Let us forget this. We will give you more money. Anything. I held on to the microphone. I said no. Father, I am not sick. I am not hysterical. I am just telling the truth. And I have proof. I clicked a button on the laptop connected to the projector. The laptop I brought. The one I set up before the guests arrived. The large screen behind the stage lit up. It showed a photograph. A picture Carol had given me. A little girl. 2 years old. Brown hair. Green eyes. A gap between her front teeth. A small scar above her right eyebrow. She was smiling. She was sitting on a small red tricycle. I said, this is Rachel Anderson. Taken the day before she disappeared. June 2nd, 1994. In Denver. Then I clicked again. A second photo appeared. Beside the first. It was a photo from Eleanor's album. The one I investigated. The first photo in my album. My second birthday party. May 15th, 1995. I was wearing a yellow dress. I looked confused. I was not smiling. The face was identical. The scar was identical. The ears were identical. The whole room could see it. The proof was right there on the screen. I looked out at the silent crowd. I looked at Eleanor. I looked at Richard. Their faces were frozen in horror. The perfect life was cracking. I asked, "Why are they the same person, mother, father? Can you explain that? Why does your daughter Anna look exactly like a missing child?" Named Rachel Anderson, whose parents spent 30 years looking for her. They had no answer. They just stared. Trapped. Exposed. They were walking into the final stage of my trap. Eleanor finally spoke. Her voice was high-pitched. It was panicked. She screamed, "This is absurd. This woman is a lunatic. She is trying to blackmail us, security. I want her removed now." Richard stammered Anna. "Stop. You do not understand the complexities. We can discuss this in private. We will give you anything you want. Just turn off the screen." I looked at the chaos. I saw the board members whispering. I saw the major donors standing up. Their perfect society was fracturing. I said I thought you might try the lunatic defense. Mother. I thought you might say I was hysterical. I thought you might say I needed medication. So I have 2 more things to show you. Things you cannot call hysterical. I clicked the laptop again. The screen changed. It was no longer a photo. It was a series of search results. Browser history. I said, "Father, this is your personal browser history. From your work computer. 2 weeks ago. Why are you searching Carol Anderson? Social worker. Why are you searching Rachel Anderson cold case? Why are you searching statute of limitations, kidnapping Colorado, if you are innocent? Why are you searching for the details of the crime? If I am a lunatic, why did you feel the need to fact-check me?" Richard looked like a ghost. He tried to hide his face. He put his hands over his eyes. Eleanor turned on him. She hissed, "Richard, what have you done?" My internal monologue. He gave me the final piece of evidence. His own paranoia. He could not resist checking. His arrogance led him to assume his history was private. B4. I clicked again. The screen now showed an email chain. The recipients were Richard and Mr. Richard Davis, the lawyer standing next to them. My internal monologue, Mr. Davis. He is the key. They thought he was their man. But he reports to the probate court. He has a duty to the deceased. I said, "And Mr. Davis. Me apologies. But you are the executor of my grandfather's will. You are a respected family lawyer. I trust you. This document I am supposed to sign." I pointed to the leather binder. "You told me it was standard procedure. That it was routine." I looked at the lawyer. He was sweating. He was not looking at Richard. He was looking at the screen. He was looking at the search history. He knew his reputation was on the line. I asked, "But what exactly did my grandfather's will say about the inheritance? Please tell the room. I want to know the truth about my legacy. I want to know the truth about the Foundation's rules." Mr. Davis swallowed hard. He looked at Richard. He looked at the screaming Eleanor. He looked at his license. He chose his license. "Mr. Davis took a slow breath. He spoke into his microphone. His voice was low but clear. He said, "The will. The true will. Filed in 1989. It stated the foundation and all principal assets would pass directly to the firstborn grandchild upon majority. I said, "And who is that?" "Mr. Davis. Tell the room who that is." He avoided my gaze. He looked at the ground. He said, "That would be Rachel Anderson." Eleanor screamed, "Davis, you are fired. You are a traitor. You will never work again." Richard looked betrayed. "You bastard. You were supposed to be our ally. We paid you millions." Mr. Davis ignored them. He continued speaking to the room. He said, "I am obligated to disclose that Mr. and Mrs. Thompson asked me to draft a new document. They pressured me to legitimize a forged birth certificate. They wanted to establish Marcus as the firstborn, which he is not. I refused. That is unethical. That is illegal. They then tried to force Anna to sign away her rights. Tonight, unter false Prätenses. My internal monologue. The total betrayal. A 9. They thought he was their ally. He was their undoing. This is the moment they realized they could not buy their way out. I said, "Exactly." They wanted to steal an inheritance they already stole a child to get. But I have one final piece of evidence. The proof of my identity. I clicked the laptop one last time. The screen showed a document from a lab loss. The headline was, "DNA Sibling Match." I said I went to a clinic last week. Carol and I took a DNA test. We paid for expedited processing. The results came back this morning. The match is 99.9%. We are sisters. I turned to Eleanor and Richard. They were weeping now. Not tears of remorse. Tears of failure. My name is Rachel Marie Anderson. I am the rightful heir. And you, mother and father, you are simply kidnappers. I put the microphone back on the podium. I stepped away from the stage. The room erupted. It was not applause. It was pure chaos. People were screaming. Board members were shouting. Donors were trying to leave. Marcus, my supposed brother, looked at the screen. He looked at Richard. He looked at Eleanor. He yelled, "You stole her. You lied to me my whole life." Everything is built on a crime. My internal monologue, the final betrayal. C4. He is turning on them. He does not care about the victim. He cares about the lie. He cares about his clean identity. Eleanor screamed back at him. "Marcus! No, we did it for you. It was for the foundation. For your future," Richard was weeping. Silent tears. He looked utterly defeated. I walked to Carol. I put my arm around her. I said, "I told you I had arranged for other guests." She nodded. I looked out at the room. I took the microphone one last time. My voice was amplified. I said, "Richard and Eleanor Thompson, or whatever your real names are. I have the DNA. I have the browser history. I have the witness testimony. I have the real will. And I have the police." 2 men in sharp, dark suits, who had been sitting quietly at a corner table, stood up. They were Detectives Miller and Hayes, Carol's friends. They walked quickly toward the stage. They were not wearing uniforms, but they were holding badges. Detective Miller held up his badge. He spoke into a hidden radio. He said, "Richard Thompson and Eleanor Thompson, you are under arrest. The charges are kidnapping, custodial interference, and conspiracy to commit fraud." Eleanor shrieked. A high, terrible sound. "No, you can't do this. We are major donors. We are the foundation." Richard did not fight. He looked at the floor. He looked old and small. Marcus stumbled backward. He did not go to his parents. He backed away from the stage. He abandoned them. The detectives put the Thompsons' hands behind their backs. They were quick and professional. The crowd was silent again, watching the scene unfold. I walked to the front of the stage. I stood beside Mr. Davis, the lawyer who had flipped. I looked relieved. I looked down at Eleanor and Richard. They were being led away. Eleanor screamed my name. "Anna, you ungrateful bitch. I raised you, I loved you." I did not flinch. I said, "You stole Rachel. You raised Anna to be a placeholder. You did not love me. You loved my inheritance." Richard was let out. He walked past Carol. He stopped. He looked at her. He said, "I am sorry." It was the first and last time I would ever hear him apologize. I watched them go. My parents. My kidnappers. Led away in handcuffs. The lie was over. I took the microphone. I looked at the crowd. These were my grandfather's friends. The people who thought they were supporting a noble cause. I said, "My name is Rachel Marie Anderson. I am the rightful heir to the Anderson Hayes Trust and Foundation. This foundation was established to protect the future of the Anderson family. And my first act as the rightful heir is this. This foundation will no longer support vanity projects. It will no longer support Richard Thompson's shell corporations. Effective immediately, the Anderson Foundation will dedicate 75% of its resources to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We will dedicate this money to finding children stolen by criminals and greed. Poetic justice. They had stolen me for the money. I was using the money to fight the crime they committed. The room was silent. Then, a slow, single clap started. It was Mr. Davis. Then Carol. Then the clapping spread. It became a standing ovation. Not for my grief. For my victory. I embraced Carol on the stage. My sister. My family. The real one. I looked at Marcus. He was standing alone. His hands in his pockets. He was nothing. He had lost the inheritance, the foundation, and his identity as the golden son. He had been living off my money. I had reclaimed my name. I had reclaimed my family. I had reclaimed my future. I learned that day that identity is not about who raises you. It is about the truth that lives inside you. I was stolen, but I was also loved by my real family. I was found because I was strong enough to look. My name is Rachel Marie Anderson. I am the CEO of my own destiny. If this story taught you anything, let it be this. If a part of your life feels like a lie, do the work. Dig for the truth. The truth is the most powerful weapon you will ever own. Do not let fear stop you from reclaiming your past. Your future depends on it. Thank you for being here. If this story moved you, please give it a like. Share it with anyone who needs to find their truth. Leave a comment below. Tell me about your own unexpected family discoveries. And do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more true stories.